February is Black History Month, and one Sioux City man has made it his passion to write and research Black history in Sioux City.
KTV's Clayton Anderson sat down with author and historian Jim Tillman to talk about the importance of Black history.
Sioux City's developed into a melting pot.
And Jim Tillman should know. He's authored 2 books highlighting Black history in Sioux City. Tillman got the inspiration to research and document history from stories of his own family, especially his grandfather moving to Sioux City from Georgia. Tillman noted that while the Black community still faced segregation, but Sioux City provided an opportunity for Black families to get jobs and raise those families.
A lot of Blacks migrated to Sioux City. That was a great place to, there was employment, there was work, the packing houses. So there was recruitment of Black workers, and a lot of us made Sioux City our home.
In his books, Tillman highlighted Black people who set themselves apart through music, sports, or civil rights. One example, Leland Washington, who Tillman says was the first known Black high school athlete in Sioux City.
Sports was a vehicle to get to education, to get to, quote, riches. But there was, they didn't play sports forever, and they went on to become other great people in the community.
Tillman said one significant area of Sioux City that was very prominent in Black culture was West 7th Street, that you can see right behind me. Tillman remembers the street as a popular place for music, social gathering, and art in the African American community. And it's that history Tillman wants people to celebrate year-round, not just in February.
You cannot be what you cannot see. So part of my inspiration and my motivation is to teach kids, to show kids, if I can do it, you certainly can do it.
Tillman hopes he can work on other projects so Black history remains a part of Sioux City's history. In Sioux City, Clayton Anderson, KTIV News 4.